So thank you very much for inviting me here, mainly to Vasil and to everybody from the organizers. As he said, my name is Tereza Smejkalova. Unfortunately, I cannot speak Bulgarian, so I will speak English at you. If you don't have any questions, I can also answer in Czech, but I don't think that will improve the matters. So I work for a company called Serco in Frascati in Italy, and we are one of the companies in the consortium that's developing this project for the European Commission and European Space Agency. And I will do my best to introduce everything about the project and then do some short demonstration, how to register, how to request a virtual machine, and so on and so on. So it will become more clear once we get into the explanation. So first, just a short outline of my talk today. So I will first explain what the RUS service is, then I will explain what it offers. We also have extensive training program, so I will explain a bit about that, and then how to contact us, and then the demonstration that I've already mentioned. So why do we need a service like RUS? Maybe first I should say a few words of what. So I think Vasil already mentioned, but RUS stands for Research and User Support for Sentinel Core Products. And at the moment, we have increasing amount of Sentinel data coming from all of these satellites that you've heard about in the morning. And at the moment, I think the number of published products on the Open Hub the number is close to 11 million of products for the 4 years in operation, and it's around 9 petabytes of data. So that's really an incredible amount of data that we have never had before. And the idea of European Space Agency and of European Commission is to help users to exploit this data, because many of these data sets are very, very processing heavy, and they are not so easy to process on your own laptops or on students' laptops, or if you want to just discover how to process them and develop new services, it's very, very complicated, because they require quite a lot of processing power, they require a lot of storage. If you want to go to more advanced things like time series and data mining and really finding out what all information you can receive from the data, it becomes even more complicated. So basically, there was in the end, we faced three main issues, which is knowledge, storage, and processing capacity. And RUS service is trying to respond to all of these and give people the ability to work with the data, explore the data, exploit the data, and create new services that can then be, how the data can be then used. So the main purpose of it is basically to help users to increase the uptake of Copernicus data, Sentinel data. So what do we provide? The RUS service provides free access to ICT resources for Sentinel data exploitation, as the slide says. So basically, we provide virtual machines that are freely accessible to everybody, only for research purposes or R&D. So of course, they are not meant to be available for companies to perform operational activities, but for R&D, for example, they are also available. They are open to everybody from anywhere. And we also offer expert Earth observation support. So if our users come to us and they say, I never used this data, I don't know how to process SAR data, for example, I only used optical, I don't know what to do with Sentinel-1 data, we can go and we can help and advise what is the best practice for processing for certain applications. So of course we cannot do the research for our users, but we can assist with some basic processing steps, with solving issues that are present in some of the softwares. Here we have sort of a limitation that we can only assist with open source softwares, of course, because we don't own the licenses for any commercial software. And we also offer the training. So a bit closer to the offer. So basically the virtual machines are in a form of remote desktop. They are pre-installed with a range of open source toolboxes, including Snap with all the Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, and Sentinel-3 toolboxes, QGIS, different development environments such as Python, we have Jupyter notebooks, we have R and others, but the user also has administrative rights to the machine, so they can actually install any software they have a valid license for. So if if you have a software that you want to use, it's not present on the virtual machine, either it's open source or you have a license, you can also install it and use it on the machine. We have 3 levels of service, depending on what the user requests when they are asking for the virtual machine, depending on what types of processing they wish to do. So we have level A. This is generally for repeating our webinars, for example. I will talk about that a little bit later. But it's also for people who just want to have a look at the data. They want to download some data, they want to open Snap and just basically do simple things. Then we have level B, which is, you can see 1 to 10 cores, up to 10 terabytes of data and 6 months of duration. So I forgot to say the level A, we usually provide for 3 months. And the level B and C we provide for up to 6 months. So the thing here is that since the service is free for users, but of course it's not free. Somebody has to pay the resources, and they are currently funded by the European Commission. And the European Commission has as its goal to make this available to as many users as possible. So there is a limit on the time that it can be used for, and that is based on the level, plus 1 extension. So we can extend once for the same duration. So for level A, that would be up maximum 6 months. For level B and C, that would be maximum 12 months. This is because the resources that we have are limited, and we need to give as many people the option to use the service and to process the data. But we have still a lot of users from master's students, PhDs, companies doing R&D, who then afterwards, if they still need the service, they can move to other services that in that case are commercial, for example, like the DSs you will hear about a bit later. So this is more of a gateway to start to process the data, and then once you have your product, you can move somewhere else. So and for the level C, I forgot to say, so there is up to 40 cores, but we also can do clusters of virtual machine. That was really for high-level processing. If you want to do, I don't have any idea now, but we have few users who are using that, and they do usually interferometric applications, time series, a lot of BSI processing and things like that, which are extremely heavy on processing. So, sorry for a lot of animations. Apart from the fact that we offer the virtual machines, we also have a specialized demonstration help desk. I've already mentioned that, and it's available via chat or email. And we try to always answer as soon as possible. We have a lot of users asking. I don't know if you are familiar with Snap, for example. It's a really great software developed by the European Space Agency, but as an open source, it has a lot of peculiarities and bugs that are sometimes a little bit difficult to navigate. So while it's perfect for processing Sentinel data because it's specifically designed for it, it can be sometimes be difficult to navigate, especially for new users. And so we can assist with these things. They will ask us, why does this operator not work, or what can I do to work around this bug? So we can advise with all of these things. Apart from the fact that we can also advise with the basic processing, with the steps and so on. So by that I get to the training. So that is one of our biggest activities actually. And we provide webinars, we provide face-to-face events, and we provide e-learning. I will show you the webpage a little bit later. So first about the webinars, we aim to do 1 webinar every month. I maybe should have mentioned in the beginning that RUS became operational last October, so at the moment we have about 13 webinars already available. Usually we have up to 500 participants. Or we can accommodate up to 500 participants. The numbers really varies. Sometimes we cannot accommodate everybody who applies. Sometimes we have a lot of free spots. It usually depends on the application that we are looking at the moment. Usually the webinars are they are all live. They are about 1 hour plus live Q&A session afterwards. And we try to cover evenly Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, and Sentinel-3. We have not yet covered Sentinel-5P, but we are hoping to do that early next year, to have a webinar on Sentinel-5P. And we also try to cover many of the applications, from land hazards, oceans, applications, and many others. So the face-to-face, so these we organize, they're not quite as regular as the webinars. Usually we can have one every 2 months it depends. Some times of the year are more busy than other ones. Usually the face-to-face sessions consist of theoretical part and hands-on part. We can accommodate between 20 to 45 participants. The trainings are always free for the participants, apart from when we are doing the trainings as a part of certain conference. So we had training on IGARS, for example. So of course then the conference fee is necessary. And all of the trainings are done using the RUS virtual machines. So all of the trainees who apply, they basically just bring their own laptops usually, or sometimes it happens that we have it in computer room, but usually they bring their own laptops and they follow step by step what we do for the hands-on session. And the advantage of using the virtual machines for the training is that you know that all of them are the same, that all of them have the same version of the software, that all of them have the same data, so you avoid a lot of problems with all of these things, or we avoid a lot of problems, and the participants can follow the training without any issues. So here is just some that we had. This slide maybe is a little bit outdated because since then we had already several others. So in July we have been on IGARS, so we had a training on SAR and optical data fusion with hands-on session using the ESA toolbox, so SNAP. Then before that we were doing a training that was end of June. We were at EUCOP, which is the permafrost mapping conference in Chamonix. And this is the one that we have upcoming currently. Unfortunately, I have it here, but all the places are already taken. So it's in December, 13 to 14 December in Copenhagen. But I will show you later where is our webpage, where if you would be interested in any future training events, you can register and you can see what our future events are. So this is the contacts. I will. No, okay. Sorry about that. So okay, I'll just say it and then I'll go to the web pages to show you in more detail. So you can contact us. We are on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all of our trainings. All of our webinars are recorded and they are all published on YouTube, on our channel on YouTube, as well as on the RUS training portal, which I'll show you in a minute. So all of them are there. You can always replay them. And the nice thing about the webinars is that you can always, if you have already a virtual machine from us, or if you would like one, or if you would like to repeat the webinar, you can always request the training kit and basically redo the webinar or the training exactly as we have done it, and then contact us for any questions. So it doesn't have to be just in real time that you're following the webinar, but also after. So all the webinars, they have training kits corresponding to them that can be the step-by-step guides can be either downloaded just as are, or you can request a virtual machine and request the webinar training kit on it. So now let me go to the web pages. Sorry. Okay, not ideal. Okay, so this is the RUS Copernicus portal. If you are interested, well, after this presentation you can of course always come talk to me, but you can also have a look at the RUS portal, sorry for my pronunciation. And you can find out way more information here. So you can find out exactly what the RUS offer is, with the computing environments, the software that is installed by default on the machine, the levels of the ICT resources, and some more information about this. And you can also find in the Learn by Yourself all of the webinar lectures. These are not the recordings; these are PDF files that have exactly the steps of exactly the processing step that we have performed. And yeah, so you can learn more about RUS here. You can also see our news. And now I will just show quickly how to register for it. So RUS Copernicus is using Copernicus SSO account, which is the single sign-on account. Recently the procedure has been simplified quite a lot, because it used to take up to 3 days to register. Now it takes about 10 seconds. So it's actually much simpler now. Basically, you just need to fill in this form for the registration. You receive an email as for any other service, and you activate your account, and you can go back to the RUS Research RUS website, and then you just go to login and I don't think this works. I'm not sure why. The copy pasting.
Do it with yes, mouse. It's not possible. Because it's read only. It's read only.
Okay. Okay. So let me see if I remember. Looks like I did. Okay. Good. So once you have the account, you can log in, and you get this new tab here that shows you your profile, training, and so on. But the most important part here is the dashboard. And here, basically, you can request your virtual machine. You can chat with the support desk. And you can see the virtual machines that you have assigned at the moment, and other things. So, for example, here, this is a nice part. So I have at the moment one virtual machine. You can access the virtual machine from here as well. So right here, I will not do that because mine, unfortunately, is at the moment not functioning, because I managed to break it about 10 minutes before we started this presentation. So I will show you a different one. And you can also monitor, use the monitoring dashboard, where you can basically monitor the performance of your machine, the activity. So if you leave something processing, you can then go back, either monitor it like this, or you can leave it processing over the night or over a few days, and you can monitor the progress. And you can freeze the machine, and you can request a webinar kit, for example, if you already have the machine. So here, this is the webinar kits that we currently have available. There's already quite a few. And it will be uploaded to your machine, and you can repeat any webinar that you like. And if I go back, I will now show you how to request the virtual machine. So if I now would want to do a new user service, basically it's a simple form where we are just basically asking questions to be able to determine what processing you want to do, how much experience you have, what is the setup of the virtual machine that we should provide for you. Unfortunately, if I want to move, I have to fill in all the things. So we have questions if you've already downloaded the Copernicus data. So I say yes. Here you can also select the webinars. So even if you don't have the virtual machine yet, you can select the webinars in the application process. So let's say here, and then we also ask if you want to only complete the tutorial exercise or if you want to also use it for another additional project. So this question depends on the fact that if you only want to repeat the webinar exercise, we usually provide the machine for 1 month. It can also, of course, be extended later, but as a basic time to repeat the webinar, we provide for 1 month. And then if you wish to also work on another project, we usually then provide for 3 months. The extension of the machine, if you work on your project and you find out after 3 months or 6 months that you still would need to use it, the extension is always determined by the usage of the machine. So if we see that somebody has not used it for a month, the extension, of course, will not be granted. If it was used heavily and we know that the person really needs it, then we will grant the extension. So, okay. So here we're asking just some more information about the project that you plan to perform. If you only select the repeating of the webinar, this will not appear. So let's say that I want to perform something like hydrosphere, Copernicus data exploitation. And this is another interesting thing about RUS. So since we are not, RUS as such is not directly connected to the Copernicus Sentinel, to the Sentinel archive. So there's other services now that are directly on top of the archive, which is it's very useful. But for RUS, this was not an option yet. So the machines are not directly connected to the archive. But to mitigate this, what we can do is firstly they have very fast internet connection, and secondly, but you still have to download the data from the Copernicus Open Access Hub. But what we can also do is, if you already have very clear idea of what data you want to process, what data you want to use, we can pre-download them to the machine for you. So when you receive the virtual machine, all the data set that you request for your project is already going to be there. And this can also, of course, be done during when you already have your machine, but you say, okay, I now need to download, I don't know, 100 Sentinel-1 scenes, and I don't have time to do it. Please do it for me. So that's also possible. So then just write something here. I will select self-downloading. And then the last part, we ask about the data. So in this part, you would specify which data you want to use. If you are not using the downloading service that we provide, we use this only for statistical purposes, to know what data you're working with, more or less. Or if you're using the downloading service, this is where we are asking you exactly what data do you want to have. So which Sentinel. If I click here, I can set other parameters of the data, so product type and many others. You can also tell us that you're using different data. For these, we cannot provide them, and they should not be the major part of your project. So since the RUS is specifically dedicated to Sentinel data always needs to be an integral part of the project that you're working on. But of course, other data can be used, in situ data, Landsat data, anything. So you can also then put region of interest. So I don't know, let's put over. Oops. You can load also reference polygons if you want to tell us exact location of the polygon. And you have it as a shapefile. You can preload it here. And then we need to also know if you're planning to do multi-temporal analysis and additional data specifications. All of these questions are really to enable us to provide you the best machine possible while not providing resources that are not necessary. So finally now I have a complete request that I would make. You can also have a look here on the terms and conditions that we have. They're pretty standard. There is nothing different than you would see anywhere else. And you can submit the request. I will not do that now because I already have one and I don't want our IT to come to me and say, "Ah, no, you have a new request submitted and why is that and what do you want?" So, but this is the way it would be done. And then once I would be provided the machine, I would have it here, as I have now my old one, and I could access it. As I said, I managed to break it before we started the presentation, so I have another one, which is a completely new setup for training that we will do soon. So this is when you request a virtual machine. Once it is provided to you, you receive a new set of credentials, because the machine does not have the same credentials as our portal. So it has a different credentials. You can log in, and this is it. So it's basically a Linux-based system. It is a remote desktop, so it's very easy to navigate. It's not just a command line that is a bit difficult to handle for new users. This is mostly because for our trainings and for new users repeating the webinars and so on, that would be very complicated. So we have the graphical interface, and you can see the software that's already installed. There is others. If you, for example, plan to do there was recently some other software added that was not on the list, which is, for example, Snafu, which is a unwrapping software for interferometric applications. We can, so maybe what to stop. Sorry. So, to break everything today. So I can show you how to interact with the machine. So of course the machine is not completely blocked from your computer, so you can interact with it, you can copy paste text, and you can upload and download files. So for example, if you work on a project, you want to download all the files here, do all the processing here, and then you can download only your outputs and use them in your paper or in your to produce a map or any other application. So we use Ctrl-Alt-Shift to open this menu. And here, this is for text copying. So any text that I will select in the virtual machine will automatically appear here, and I can copy-paste it to my computer, and it works the same the other way around. So if I copy-paste text from my computer to this text box, I can then paste it anywhere in my machine. Which doesn't seem like it would be super useful, but from experience it is very useful. And then we can go here to the devices, and here basically I can see the entire structure of my virtual machine, and I can navigate to any folder, and I can upload the data. Download just with a simple double click. So if I double click, it would download, and upload using this upload files, and then it opens the structure of the computer and, or the file viewer of the computer, and I can choose any file to upload to the machine. And I can close it again by Ctrl-Alt-Shift. We also have, we use Firefox as the browser. Oops. Twice. And it automatically opens on the Copernicus Open Access Hub that you heard about in the morning, I think. So you can directly download the data to the virtual machine. So now I will show also our training portal quickly, and then I will show some applications, some examples of the trainings that we have done and so on. Okay. Yes. There we go. Okay, so we have the technical part of the RUS portal and the training part a little bit separated. So all the training that we do, it's also published on the portal, but this is the main page. And here we publish all our training events. So if you go here to the training, you have two possibilities to go to the upcoming and to the past ones. So upcoming, what we have a webinar on December 6th, I think. So if you would be interested in that, you can apply. And it's on deforestation monitoring with Sentinel-1. I believe the study area for this one is going to be in Bolivia, but I'm not sure because it's my colleague that is preparing this webinar. Oh, I'm sorry, Paraguay. And if you go to the webinar, you can apply here. We use GoToWebinar as a provider, so we have up to 500 participants, as I said before. You can read some more information here. And once the webinar is finished, it will move here. So the last one that we had was on glacier velocity with Sentinel-1. And if you go to the past ones, you will find a recording of the webinar, and you will find a Q&A session document with sort of an overview of all the questions that the participants had during the Q&A and the answers. So these are for the upcoming events. At the moment we only have the two. We have the webinar and we have the face-to-face in Denmark, which looks at introduction to SAR data and application. And then we also have the e-learning portal. At the moment we have several courses on the principles of radar remote sensing. Unfortunately they are all in French, but they do have subtitles. We are preparing some videos that are coming from our face-to-face events. So our lecturers for the theory part we record the lectures and then we publish them as the e-learning. So we are expecting to have some more videos really soon. At the moment, I think it's just these. And each of the e-learning videos or courses, so it's not a classic MOOC as you're used to from the big online courses. It's more, you can follow a video, then after the video you have some set of questions that you can answer, and then you move to another one, but it's not sort of, these courses, they are in a row, so they are in order. So if you want to learn about radar remote sensing, they are really good for that. But it's not necessary to follow each one if, for example, you're familiar with some parts of it already. Then we have all the news, so everything that we publish, you can also sign for our newsletter. We send one every month, so it's not very often, and all the news are also there. So all the upcoming events, past events, all the webinars, any changes to the virtual machines or the setup or new software, so everything is usually mentioned there. Okay, so that's for the training portal. And I think I still have some time, so I can, although not so much, I will go back to the virtual machine and I can just show some applications. So I can open Snap. And for example, one of our webinars is looking at flood mapping in Malawi in 2015. So there were very large, very big floods in January 2015, and during the webinar we were looking at 4 images from that period to see the development of the flooded area. So I can just reload here, I have some preloaded data. I will show here only 2 images, not all 4, and the processing. So the original one, for example, from December, prior to the event. take a little while because each of these products is approximately 1 gigabyte. So visualizing them takes usually a little bit of time. And this machine is slightly less powerful than the one that I was originally hoping to use for the demonstration. So these two images, they are Sentinel-1 images. They are acquired in the interferometric wide swath mode. One is from December 29th of 2014, so prior to the flooding, and the second one is from February 27th of 2015, so the flood occurred in early January, and the flooded area really stayed for a very long time, or the flood stayed for a very long time. Okay, so the image is actually, the swath is 280 kilometers, but our area of interest is this area down here. So if you compare, I can link my views, and I can compare both of these. So you can even visually see the dark patches here. So I'm not sure how many of you is actually familiar with SAR. I will not go into it because that would be for several days of training. But for SAR, it's very often used for flood monitoring, for example, because water surfaces reflect the radiation away from the sensor, which means that no radiation is being returned because they act as a mirror surface. And that means that water surfaces generally will have very small or very low backscatter returning signal to the sensor, whereas any other surfaces, depending on their roughness, will have higher backscatter. So they are used very, very often. There is some limitations on this because, for example, if you have partially submerged vegetation or other objects, as you often have for flood events, those reflect the radiation back, so they actually act as a corneal reflectors, which the radiation basically returns back to the sensor, and they actually have very high reflectance. So there is some limitations, but for majority of the purposes, you can have very accurate estimation of what the flooded area actually is. So what we did here, it's basically very simple approach to flood monitoring. If we have these two images, we then use a basic pre-processing steps for SAR imagery. In Snap, there is a very useful tool that is called a graph builder. If you're familiar with ArcGIS or other softwares, it basically allows you to build processing steps into a chain and then run the whole chain on your data in batch mode. So you can process many images in one go instead of having to apply each step separately to each image. It's sort of an automation. Of course, you can also use Snap in a command line, which makes it even more automated or even more flexible. I'm showing the graphic interface because that's the most simple one to present. And if you want to use the graph builder, can open it basically from here, and I have already the graph prepared, so I will just show it quickly. So it actually is a lot of steps, but they are relatively simple. So there's a set of steps that you need to perform on SAR data before you can use them. Those are sort of so first we subset to the area of interest, then there's some steps that are necessary, like the application of the overbit file, which is an update to the metadata of the product, the radar product, and there is others. I will not bore you with those, but this is just to show that if you would be interested in that and you don't know, for example, how to proceed with those, the webinars can help with that a bit and explain what each step is. How to apply them, and basically how to start using SAR data. So this is the basic pre-processing chain. It can change a little bit for different applications, but not actually that much. I will not apply it because it would actually take a while to process. And if I process them, I will receive these two images. So this is the result of the first processing. We see that it subset it to a smaller area, and now we can really appreciate the extent of the flooded area. And from there, we can go and we can actually compare the flooded area previous to the event, or sorry, the water-covered areas previous to the event and then during the flooding. And we can apply some thresholds to create a binary mask. So it's a very simple approach, but it's just to introduce how this can be done. It's also just basically to demonstrate the technique. There's of course many other techniques that people research and that exist that you can use, and they will be much more advanced. But actually this gives very, very good results. So let me see if I have the butter mask here. So basically what we've done here is just apply the binary threshold. I think I'm running out of time, so we just applied binary threshold. And of course we can visualize it much better in ArcGIS. We can visualize it in QGIS with some underlying layer with more vector layers that will show us where the roads are, where the settlements are, and so on. And that can be used for further processing and for further use, basically in, for example, humanitarian or hazard response or disaster response and so on. So, okay, I think I ran out of time now. Okay. So I will stop it here. Sorry for a little bit confused presentation at the end. I had other applications prepared on the other virtual machine, so it was a bit unexpected, but hopefully I at least interested you in the virtual machines. And if you have any questions, please come talk to me in the back in the room.
Въпроси? Наде там. Само че той не работи, той няма батерии. Не, без него. Може и без него, защото не работи микрофон.
Sorry, yes.
Tell us more about the command line Snap interface. Is it needed something additional to install along the Snap or?
No, so the command line interface is integrated in Snap. It's very simple to use. I can show you later if you're interested. Yes. I didn't show it here because, well, it's a command line, okay. But it's very simple to use. And once you have Snap installed, you can use it. You can even use the graph that I shown, for example. You can use this in the command line, so you can build your graph, and then load it in the command line and run it. Which gives a lot more freedom on the resources that are being used, because Snap, the graphical interface, is not very good in memory management. So what happens is that then if you have 3 products and you want to process them and you have limited amount of memory that you have available, it will crash. While the command line, it doesn't have batch capacities, but those can be scripted very easily. And you can basically say, okay, I have a folder here that has 100 products. I want to process them with this specific graph. And you can very easily do that, because after every processing, basically the whole memory is dumped again. So it's very useful in that case. But,
thank you.
Any other questions?
Други въпроси? Добре, ако няма, продължаваме нататък. Преди да продължа със следващата презентация, която е свързана с Cloud платформите GEOS, които започнаха оперативната си фаза от лятото на тази година. Само искам нещо да кажа във връзка с вебинарите, които РУС предоставя. На нашата страница GEO Polymorphic Cloud в раздел събития ние се опитваме да поддържаме един календар с почти всички събития, свързани с географски информационни системи, remote sensing, geospatial data processing и така нататък. Така че на нашата страница в раздел събития ние ги качваме тези събития, кога са, през кои дни, освен това всякакви други конференции, интересни свързани в тази област, плюс допълнително в страницата ни в Facebook също качваме такива интересни неща, така че ако ви е интересно, може да и оттам да достъпвате, защото освен събития на РУС има и страшно други вебинари, има предвид, има страшно други вебинари на ИЗА, на НАСА, на НОА, включително тези, които са на всяка една от тематичните услуги, имат си допълнителни вебинари. В момента тече един много хубав тренинг на Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service, който също е безплатен, така че може да го видите. Ние сме ги публикували в раздел събития на нашата страница или през Facebook нашия. Така, сега ще продължа с следващата презентация, която засяга така наречените Data and Information Access сервиси, които представляват едно надграждане на това, което РУС прави. Разликата между РУС и DIAS платформите е тази, че в РУС вие имате виртуална машина, но нещата, които може да правите там, са единствено за научна изследователска цел. Или ако сте, да речем, на някакъв стартъп, може на РУС портала да си тествате вашите, да речем, алгоритми или някакъв етап от вашата работа, но не може да го използвате РУС портала за комерциални цели. Друга разлика между РУС и DIAS е, че в РУС данните на Sentinel се изтеглят от съответните портали, докато DIAS платформите ще бъдат, и някои от тях вече са, такива платформи, в които всички данни от Коперник. Както видяхте до сега, винаги казвахме, влезте в този сайт, регистрирайте се тук, влезте в този сайт, регистрирайте се тук. Идеята на DIAS е да има единична регистрация, вие няма да не се грижите по никакъв начин да влизате в различни услуги, различни регистрации, различни портали. Влизате си в DIAS портала и всички данни от сентинелите плюс тематични услуги, плюс данни, които са на фирмите, които оперират DIAS платформите, са качени на едно място и чрез общо API Application Programming Interface вие си работите с тези данни, без да се интересувате те къде се намират. Естествено, отново говорим за виртуални машини с избор от различна бързина на действие, процесори, GPU-та и така нататък. Разликата естествено е, че DIAS платформите са платени, но тъй като те са разработени с помощта със съдействието на Европейската комисия в рамките на програма Коперник, очаква се цените, с които да могат да се ползват DIAS платформите, бъдат преференциални за европейските граждани. И ето отново стигаме до тук, как разгледахме, че има страшно много портали, в които са така дистрибутирани данните и продукти, които се генерират от програма Коперник. Идеята е да няма такъв голям набор от портали, а всичко да бъде съсредоточено на едно място. Всеки месец само спътниковите изображения по програма Коперник са близо 500 терабайта и над 10 петабайта годишно нови данни се генерират в програма Коперник. Когато бъдат пуснати действия Sentinel 4 и Sentinel 5, очаква се около 4 пъти да нарасне това количество данни. Не е реално човек да мисли, че може да ги обработва сам на компютъра си, затова идеята е да се работи в клауд среда, когато има нужда от обработка на голямо количество данни. И с тази идея са създадени DIAS. DIAS платформите, договорите бяха сключени миналата година, 2017 година, и от лятото на 2018 година започнаха да оперират 5-те DIAS платформи. Както казах отново, идеята е да имат достъп до всички данни и информация от Коперник, съчетано с изчислителните ресурси, които съответните провайдери предоставят. Няма нужда да изтегляте данните локално, работите в виртуални среди. В допълнение, ето това е мястото на DIAS между данните, които се генерират, и съответните потребители. В допълнение, това, което, освен облачната среда, която предоставят на потребителите, тъй като това са DIAS се оперират от големи фирми в областта на информационните технологии, веб приложенията, Geospatial Data, самите те предоставят тулове допълнителни, с които вие може да работите вече с препроцеснати данни, с предварително обработени, и да не се налага да извършите прекалено сложни изчисления, да имате полуготови продукти на регулярна база. Предоставят допълнително софтуери, които може да използвате в тях, така че идеята е да се улесни използването на това огромно количество информация, която се събира както от спътникови изображения по програма Коперник, така от комерциални спътници на фирмите опериращи ги, така и от инсито данни, съдържащи се по програмата. В момента има 5 DIAS платформи налични. Едната от които GEO е с съдействието на EMETSAT и Mercator Ocean. Това са техните сайтове. В крайна сметка всеки един от тях предоставя приблизително едни и същи услуги, но тъй като се поддържат от различни фирми, в детайли не мога да ви кажа конкретно коя е по-добра или коя е по-лоша. Това вие сами може да го прецените, когато посетите техните сайтове. В общи думи, облачна базирана среда за работа с пространствени данни, пълен достъп до всички данни от Коперник. Все още не е налично това, както казах, някои са в различен период, в различна фаза на развитие, някои са в по-напреднали, други не чак толкова, но може да ги прегледате. Първата DIAS платформа е CREODIAS, за която имаме представител от фирмата CloudFerro, Marcin, който е тук и ще има презентация след малко. Да ви покажа вече сега ще ви покажа кои са 5-те платформи, а той вече за CREODIAS ще ви покажа в детайли какво може да очаквате от една такава Cloud платформа. И ще кажа малко повече за фирмите, които оперират CREODIAS. Втората DIAS платформа се казва Mundi, оперира се от такива големи фирми като Atos, T-Systems, Thales Alenia, плюс научен потенциал от DLR, SpaceMetric, които са норвежците, GAF немците, и Synergize. Synergize са фирмата, която прави Sentinel Hub, който Playground, който ви показах в началото. Те са в основата на 3 от DIAS системите, поради тяхната изключително добра технология за дистрибутиране на географски данни, начинът по който те дистрибутират Sentinel данните. Третата DIAS платформа се нарича Onda, с водеща фирма Serco и още 2 френски фирми. Synergize отново стои в основата на дистрибутирането на данните от Sentinel. Това са им сайтовете, може да видите, да ги прегледате и да си харесате някоя, която да тествате. Хубавото в момента на тези платформи е, че тъй като са в тестови период, почти всички от тях, предлагат най-различни удобства за потребителите, 6-месечни тестови акаунти, определена сума, която е тестова, докато си изчерпате за виртуална машина, която е също безплатна, т.е. може да ги тествате, да видите коя е по-добра и накрая да си изберете някой от тях. Sublо е четвъртата DIAS платформа. Тук имаме такива гиганти като Airbus, които пък заедно с данните от Sentinel предоставят и данни от спътниците на Airbus. Те, знаете, те се сляха с Spot и така нататък. Това беше много отдавна. Плюс от технологична страна Vito като фирма. И петата, за която споменах, която е в крайна сметка ще предоставя същите неща, както и другите DSI, но с малко по-насоченост към атмосфера и океани. Това е GEO, водещи ELMETSAT и Европейския център за средносрочни прогнози. В момента, ето виждате, има може да сте тестър на програмата им за 6-месечен период, така че е интересно, просто влезте да ги разгледате и си изберете коя да ползвате.
Hello, my name is Marcin. I come from Poland. So I will show you how what our platform can do with online presentation. So I hope it will work. So generally, this is the main page that you access. You can register and access the virtual machines and also see how to operate on the products from Sentinel. So we offer the free trial, so you can apply to free trial. We add that is we ask certain questions, but if we see that you are not a fake person or somebody who just want to use the resources but really want to try using your data, then you can apply for free trial. And with free trial, you can go to our service and register. These are the steps that you can do. That is, you can select a service, then order the machines which you like, and start using it. So if you have any problems with using, then we have knowledge base in which we have certain information about pricing, about legal matters, and I think that the most important is frequently asked questions, where we gathered the experience from the users and our experience, so that can help you how to start using how to use our portal. For instance, this is one of the first steps. You can see how to. These screens one by one show you how to register, what message you will get from by the mail. There are certain steps which can be technical, probably difficult for the end user, so this is why you can find the information here. Especially we use to access because we have a very huge amount of data already on our storage. So this is in case of using the RUS virtual machines, you have to order the data, the products. In our case, we have access to machines on instant access to the downloaded data, which we download products one by one every day from Copernicus hubs. So probably I will log in as me myself, just to check the passwords, because I don't. Add sign.
Почисто.
Control.
Again. With shift. Yes.
Okay, so now I logged in as the user that I have for test purposes. So having this, I can see the my account, and when I I logged in as John Doe, just nobody. I can see on the main page what is the balance of my credits. In this case, I have 1,600 euro of credit, because we have several ways of billing. That is, we can either buy credits and use it as a prepaid, or we can order services for fixed contract. So I can see also in billing what is happening to my virtual machines. For instance, I have at this moment I have two virtual machines, one with Windows, one with Linux, and this is the way to see. This is the place where I can see how much resources I use and how much I utilized of the credits. So, for instance, during this period, my virtual machines and storage used up to now on November 155 euros. If I want to see this is one way to see the machines, but I can also access my virtual machines from the this here is the GEO Cloud environment, and this after clicking this I can get to OpenStack, this OpenStack dashboard, because this our virtual machines are governed by the open source software called OpenStack. So now I can connect to the area in OpenStack of my projects. So this is the main dashboard of this open source software that we use for administering our resources. We can see the limits of that, because everybody can, every user can have some limits on how many instances can be used. For instance, here is the limit of 20 instances of 100 vCPUs, and this is the limit for RAM. But of course, these limits can be changed by our administration, so it depends on case by case. And here are the projects that we can have separate projects. One is with access to your data, and another is without access to your data. So, for instance, if I switch to another project, there are different limits, and also these virtual machines that are resources created in this project are not visible in the other project. So now I go to instances, and I can see that I have 3 machines. These 2 were seen on the billing. This one I created 2 hours ago, so it is not yet present in the billing. And with these virtual machines, we can do various things. First of all, we can see the insides of the machine. This is the simple console, which is not very nice to use, but this is just for administration purposes. And normally, every machine we can access by SSH, so we can access. I don't have configured it on this computer, so I will not show you at the moment this access. However, I will show you the main thing that we have. So just a moment, I only log in. So there are some technical details which I will not be explaining now, but I will just use one of the users that are already predefined. However, you can also use you can create your own users, because you have access to the operating system with administration rights. Do I have?
It's more or less finished, but 10 minutes.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't put the. Okay, sorry for these errors. So now I logged in to the virtual machine, and in the we have I can go to the data and see the what we have. So this shows that all the products in these catalogs are already downloaded to the storage that we have. So no need to download it from the internet. So the I will not show you now the graphical interface because I don't have configured on this machine. I don't have the RDP, that is graphical user interface configured here. However, I will. There is just one important thing is that all this data. So you can, for instance, go to Sentinel-3. And go deeper into the catalogs. So any and you will see that that you have various products and from various times. So, for instance, here you can see that you have we have downloaded data from since 2016 up to today. So this shows that this gives such opportunity to analyze data nearly online. Of course, we have some delays because this is the huge amount of data in our repository. So sometimes we experience a little bit delay. However, when you access your virtual machine in either graphical mode, or you can, for instance, on this machine, you can also install your own software or software from the internet. So you have access to both your data and to internet. So you have nearly instant access to the products, which is a big advantage because you don't need to use your time for waiting for downloading. Just a little bit more information. We have various images already in our system. So we have CentOS, Red Hat, Ubuntu, and Windows. So you can create your machines with this various images, and we use key pairs to connect by SSH. However, if you connect with remote desktop, you can just use simple passwords. and I will just show you how you can create your own machine. And of course, one more interesting thing, you can also add volumes to your machines. So for instance, here is shown how to add additional volumes. So this is just the system volume here, for instance, for the UB, which is with my name for Ubuntu machine. However, you can create new volume and add it to your for instance, we can do like this, that you can test volume. You can have this volume either as image or normal volume. We can use SSD and HDD, so it depends. It's the price for SSD is double of HDD. However, sometimes it's needed for fast operations. You can change the, for instance, 1 terabyte to create 1 terabyte of data. And now you just create the volume. The volume is it will take a minute. So the volume was already created, and having this, you can attach it to one of the machines. For instance, for this Ubuntu. So it's attaching now. It shows now that it is already attached, and when you go back to the instance, you can see that this appeared in the system. Of course, you have to format this and create file system on it, but these are just operations that you can find information on our frequently asked questions. And also, as this instances, they have various possibility of existence, I would say. That is, first of all, you can reboot, you can shut off, you can rebuild them with with another image. You can of course delete it, and you can, if you want to stop it for instance for a few days or even longer or any time, and also stop paying for this for usage of this, you can shelve the instance. Then the instance is then stored on the storage, but it releases the CPU and RAM, so that it doesn't cost that much as normal working machine. It only costs what the storage costs, so it's much lower, and then it's a kind of shutting down the computer, that it doesn't use the energy. In such case, it doesn't use the CPU and RAM. We can also create machines. You can create also using the various programmatic methods. So this API access shows some technical details how you can use your command line, for instance, on your own PC, so that you can for instance automatically create some machines. We have some customers who from time to time they work on on much more data, and many people work parallelly, so they create machines, or you can also do it, they create machines and then delete them, so it also makes the system more elastic. Well, I think it's well, probably you have some questions. I don't know what it's much to talk about it, and many things we could also, I could also show you if you have some specific question. I can show you. I will be there and I can show you offline.